So what if maxing out your 401k is actually slowing down your path to becoming work optional? Well, these 6 investments have helped me and my clients grow our wealth faster and with more control. And by the way, the last one is the one that made me the most money. All right, so before we jump into these 6, let's talk about why the 401k has some advantages, but a lot of disadvantages, right? Because here's the issue. The 401k, one, is a tax code. It is controlled by the IRS. And the US government can change that tax code and the rules with it at any time. This is my number one problem with it, is it lacks control. You do not have control at all about that age. Like for example, they say 59 and a half is what you have to wait till, because if you take out before you're 59 and a half, you're gonna have this 10% penalty and they're gonna tax you on top of that. So a lot of people say, oh, I'm not gonna do it. But what happens if the government says, hey, you know what, we need to let people wait a little bit longer. Let's make it 62 years old. Well, if they make it 62, you have to just go with it. You have no say in the matter. You have no vote. You do not matter in this equation. They will change the rules and make it whatever they want. This also means how much can you max fund? So even if you could save more money, they won't let you do it, right? So there's no flexibility in doing that. Not to mention, by the way, this money is locked up in prison. Here's the big issue, is that so many people get caught in a very stressful situation financially because they don't have access to liquid cash, money they can get to. The problem with the 401k is you can't get to it, because if you work at a company, the 401k is locked in there. Now, there's a few exceptions to that rule. You can get a little bit of that money. For example, if you're trying to buy your first home, they'll let you access like 10 grand. If you're trying to use it for college, same thing, maybe 10 grand of it. But if you want to get to that money, you can't just pull it out. You have to borrow from it. And they're gonna make you borrow, and you can only get up to either $50,000 or 50% of the money you have in there, whichever is less. So even if you have $1 million in your 401k, they will only let you access 50 grand of it. So the only way to get to your 401k in full, if you want to use it, is you get fired or you quit your job. Neither I recommend, right? So you gotta be very aware of this, okay? Also, tax advantages. Many people will tell you, hey, you're able to delay your taxes till later because when you're older, you won't need as much money. Has that ever been true in your life? Have prices gone up or down over time? Have your expenses gone up or down over time? They go up. Even if you say, hey, I'm gonna empty nest and get rid of my kids because they're so freaking expensive. I got 8 of them, I get it. But here's the thing, do your expenses really go down that much? They don't. So even expenses don't go down with inflation. Just naturally with inflation, costs go up, don't they? That means you have to pull out more money, which of course could put you in a higher tax bracket down the road. So all these people are trying to put their money away saying, I'm not gonna get taxed today, but really you're just delaying your income to a future date when you don't have the write-offs of your kids and you don't have the write-offs of your home, because if you paid off your house, you don't have to write off the interest. So what do you have left? And if you have student loans, you might be writing off the interest right now too, but once those are paid off, do you have anything to write off anymore? No. You're in possibly the highest tax bracket of your life when you pull that money out. So that's one big disadvantage of having a 401k. Yes, we got the match, and that's kind of cool that you get money matched for free, quote unquote. But remember, there's also bad funds in there and things like that really just make up for the bad performance. The match just helps make up for the bad investing performance of your funds that you have, especially if it's like Fidelity and those kind of companies. Let's talk about the alternatives. What else could you be doing? So here's the first of the 6 that we're gonna talk about. Number 1, you could private lend your money, or you can use debt funds. The great thing that I didn't know about, even as a financial advisor, is that once in 2006, I escaped that world and I started going to real estate. People would tell me, these real estate investors would say, yeah, well, you can lend your money to real estate investors and get paid 1% a month, maybe more, right? And I thought, wait a minute, people will pay me 1% a month of my money? That means if I give you $100,000, you're gonna pay me $1,000 a month? Yeah, this is way better than what I did as a financial advisor, because as a financial advisor, I would say if you have 100,000, you can only pull off 3% a year. 4% rule has been debunked so long ago that nobody even believes that. It's a 3%, if it's even a rule. 3% guideline. They're not so much rules, they're guidelines. So anyways, so that's the thing. 3%, you pull off that 100,000, that's 3%, that's only 3,000 a year. But instead, that 100,000 makes me $1,000 a month, that's 12,000 a year. I quadruple the amount of money I'm able to take in. I can literally lend my money out to an investor, let them use that money to maybe renovate a property, flip it, sell it to somebody else at a higher price. If they don't pay me, guess what? That property's mine. It's mine. Now, if I do a debt fund, not so much, but debt fund kind of diversifies your risk among many properties, so you can do things that way. But again, you make 10, 12% or more a year doing that very strategy. Number 2, oil and gas. The great thing is this, that oil prices have come down. So people are saying, oil and gas investments aren't great. This might be the best time to get into oil and gas investments because they might start cash flowing even better as time goes on, especially lately. You can actually literally, if you're gonna pay more at the gas pump, you might as well get paid more on your money too at the same time, right? You can invest in oil and gas investments. Now, there are a lot of bad actors out there, bad companies that do lie to you. You gotta be very careful in that space. You gotta find somebody who's very reputable, somebody who's been doing this for decades, not just a few years, but decades, to be able to trust that what they're gonna do is working. And even if they've worked decades, you wanna make sure that what you're doing is also legit, right? So be careful in that space. That's why a lot of our clients come to us and say, hey, who do you trust, right? Because that's the truth. We wanna make sure that you have good people that have a good reputation of paying on time. Number 3, turnkey rentals. This is not buying the property in your backyard. This is where you have a turnkey real estate company. They help you find the property. So they already kind of have this menu of properties available saying, here's the various properties, here's how much they should cash flow. Even before you put a dime down on that property, you get a general idea of how much money you should be making on that property and whether it's a good deal or not. Then you go and you buy the property, and then guess what? You don't have to manage the property. You get a property management company to step in and do all the work for you. That's good. Now, there is risk. The property manager, if they suck, well, that makes your life a living hell, doesn't it, right? So we don't want that. So we want to make sure that you get somebody with, again, a good reputation. That's why we always try to find and curate those right people. So turnkey real estate, I think long-term is probably one of the best investments you could possibly be doing. Short-term, not so much. Longer-term, yes. Number 4 is a syndication. What is a syndication? It's like crowdfunding your money together with other investors. You pool your money with other investors to go buy a big project. It could be an apartment building. It could actually be like a car wash business. You can actually go outside of real estate. It could also be something, even in the oil and gas space could be that. It could be facilities. It could be like Amazon warehouses or other types of commercial buildings. It could be all kinds of things. It could be self-storage units, things like that. You pool your money with other investors, you have a percentage ownership in that deal, and then you're able to get returns from it. So the great thing is, of course, there's cash flow that's possible, but you can also get bigger potential returns once they sell their investment down the road. So you can get not just the cash flow, but you can also get the benefits of the sale. But the great thing is you don't have to have all that money to be able to pay it up front, because let's admit it, very few of us can buy an apartment building by ourselves. It helps when you have other partners in that deal to help you knock it down, and you just get a percentage of that business. The 5th one is raw land. Raw land is just the dirt. Now, many people say, well, how do you cash flow dirt? You can actually buy raw land at wholesale, turn around and sell it at retail. But instead of just turn around and sell it at retail, and yes, you can make money off that, what if you sold it to them like you're the bank? You gave them a mortgage payment. You said, listen, you could pay this in monthly payments to me over the next 5, 10, 15 years. And then they pay you back. And yes, you can cash flow raw land, charge them interest and do things like that. Now you can do it on your own, or you can get a partner to do it. I personally have a partnership where I put in about $500,000, but I'm cash flowing now about $13,000 a month with this raw land partnership that we have. I do none of the work. I'm totally hands off. I just finance it. They do the work by finding the raw land all over the country and then be able to buy and sell it. It's awesome. I love it. And then the 6th and final one, this is the one that actually can create the best rate of return. And in fact, I think this is the best investment you could possibly do, which is your business. Now, you could invest in a business like I mentioned, like car washes or whatever, but maybe your own business is more effective. Because let's be honest, when I get business owners, they have 401ks, it drives me nuts that they go and throw their money in a 401k, they go in these mutual funds, right, which go and invest in all these different companies. Well, if you're a business owner and you're at least halfway successful at what you do, don't you think you can make better returns in your own business than you would in your 401k? And by the way, when you put returns in your business, guess what? You get tax benefits. Do you get tax benefits with a 401k? No, you do not. Just because they delay your taxes to a future date, you always have to pay those taxes later. But the business, you don't. And so I think one of the biggest opportunities that people miss out on that could give you the highest returns is investing in your own business. Now, I still love my passive investments, but with my company Money Ripples, I realized that I get a lot of benefits too from just a tax standpoint. I get so many tax benefits that I'm able to keep more of my money too. And that's one thing that helps offset the money I make in my passive investments where I may or may not have tax advantages. Many people wonder yeah, this is great. How do I find these investments? How do I know what's good for me? What could I even make passive income wise? Go to moneyripples.com/consulting. Go there and book a discovery session to see which of these alternative investments actually fit your situation the best, because you should be doing all of them, but a few of these could be amazing for you. Go to moneyripples.com/consulting to find out what that is for you today.